Okay, in this class, we're talking about forgiveness, but in maybe a different way than you've talked about it before. We're going to kind of push that word aside and replace it with something else. Come on and join me on the mat. Welcome to Gentle Restorative. My name is Sandra. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have some props nearby that you haven't gotten close enough to, grab them because we're going to be very restorative in this session. And then when you're ready, and I'll wait for you a moment, we'll just take a comfortable seat, close the eyes, start to distance ourselves from the external around us. And one good way to do that is to focus on the breath. Just turning within. And then let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Loud exhale. Inhale the arms. And release your hands to the heart in Anjali Mudra so that we can pause here to set our intention. Now when you're ready, we'll release the hands. We're going to take that left hand all the way over to the right knee, right hand behind you. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, nice twist to the right here. Turn the head to look over the shoulder. Hold it right there, but continue to breathe. Wait for an exhale to gently release. I'm kind of laughing in my head because I told you to bring your props close, and I can see mine all the way over there. So I'll go get them in a second, but right hand to the left knee, other hand behind you, sit up tall. And take that twist. You stay right there. Let me grab my blocks. Not gonna lie, I was using them to prop up my laptop earlier. They're multifunctional. All right, when you get to an exhale, gently release. Inhale the arms. Exhale to the heart. All right, so first restorative pose. Yeah, we need everything. So I'm going to take my blocks and I want to set one up, the farthest one, higher than the next. You decide if you want to go at the tallest height for the one behind. I think I'll start there. And then let's get that bolster propped up. There we go. Okay, you don't need the strap, but let's talk about the blanket for a second. Can you open that blanket up? We're going to want to get it folded so that it's long. So let's see here. Okay, so you can see I made a long rectangle. Now I'm going to place this behind me in front of the bolster. And then this is going to depend on how long your blanket is. So let me give you a couple options. If it's super long, like I feel mine is, I'm going to take one end and fold it upwards alongside my bolster. But if you feel like, yeah, I don't think my blanket's that long, all you need to do is lift your bolster, slide that blanket underneath, so we have the blanket coming out on both sides. And then what I'm going to do here, I think I'm just going to kind of fold the edges over a little bit. So I don't know, maybe it looks better, but that's where our arms are going to end up, one side and then the other. And then if you have another prop nearby, I'm kind of looking, I have a sweater here. You don't have to have anything, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, if you do, grab that, we're going to place that right between the knees. Okay, so I want your left hip right up against the bolster. Sit up tall. Legs are draping off to the right. I'm going to turn my heart towards the bolster. And then I'm going to start to come on down. Now here's where you might want to take, it depends how your legs ended up. If they're like mine and both knees are on the floor, I feel like there's more pressure on my right knee. I might want to slide whatever prop I found underneath that right knee. If you end up and the legs are stacked, then you're going to want your extra prop between the knees. So it's totally up to you. But I want to lengthen, turn the heart to the bolster, come on down. And then you have the blanket here. If your arms, reach, you can kind of scrunch this blanket up so it's more accommodating and that it ends up underneath the elbows and the forearms. I have my left ear on the bolster. If you want to turn your head all the way to the other side, that's completely up to you. And then close your eyes. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, just melt down into all these props that are holding you up. We're just going to hang out right here, following the breath, letting go of life. We'll come back to life. I do have a theme for this class, but can we just start out in a very peaceful zone? If you find that your thoughts are straying, will you try to keep the focus on the breath? And I'm watching my clock so that we spend equal amount of time on both sides, but don't worry, I'm also going to tell you when to turn your head if you opted to have the right ear down on the bolster, so I haven't forgotten that that was an option. And perhaps as you kind of settle in, allowing the body to grow heavy, I wonder what you'd like to let go of today. So if you do have that right ear on the bolster, let's go ahead and release the neck, placing the left ear down. And you might want to visualize sending the breath to the back of the neck, especially if you did have the head turned in the opposite direction. And then go ahead and give me a deep inhale. Loud exhale. I'm going to slide my hands back so I can get some support against the floor. Gently push my way up. Let the head be the last part of the body to lift. Perfect. And now I want to turn not turn around to the other side. I want to turn in the opposite direction. So I'm going to slide away from the bolster just a tad and move forward. We're going to turn this around, laying our back down now against the bolster. Perfect. And again, however the legs end up, however you need them to be, is good. Very gentle twist here, opening up the heart chakra. And really opening up the throat chakra. The throat chakra is not the theme of this class. However, it kind of does tie in. It's going to come into play. So let's just work on sending the breath there. Thinking about what needs to be said, what's being held back. These are also not the themes today. However, they do connect. And then let's go ahead and stretch the arms overhead, interlace the fingers, turn the palms away from you, lengthen out through the arms. When you get to an exhale, you can release the arms. And then we're going to slowly lift the head, tucking the chin in, and push our way all the way back up. So let's go ahead and turn this to the other side. Right hip up against that bolster. Legs are draped to the left. Do what you need to do with that extra prop if you had one. Sit up tall, turn the heart toward the bolster, and then come on down. Again, if you want to take the compassionate route, right ear on the bolster. If you feel like you want more of a twist, left ear to the bolster. And we'll just close our eyes and settle in. Staying with the breath. While you're laying there comfortably. And don't worry, I won't forget to tell you when to turn your head. So, the theme for tonight's class parallels what I wrote for the newsletter coming out tomorrow. And if you're looking for it, you can go to my website and look under newsletters. It'll fall under April 2021. But it has to do with the word forgiveness, because this word has come up in a lot of conversations I've been in recently. And I kind of feel like that word, well, the way I described it in my article was, it's like a conversation that you know is going to take you down a windy, deep, dark rabbit hole. Because I think one of the conversations I had recently about the word was someone really felt very offended by that word. And it got me thinking a lot. It got me thinking about how, we're surrounded by all these quotes about forgiveness, and how once we learn to forgive, we will feel peace and happiness. And it insinuates that you can't find peace and happiness unless you forgive. And the more I thought about that, my mind kind of took me to, that is really unfair, right? It's so much easier to forgive a small slight, right? Someone borrows something and they break it, versus somebody does something to you that is so traumatic that you carry it with you like an imprint on your soul. And how do you tell the people in both of those instances, all you got to do is forgive and you're going to be filled with peace and light? And so in another conversation I had this week about this word, we kind of came to the conclusion that what if we were to not use the word forgive, right? It has so many strings attached to it. And actually, I know the word is supposed to imply you're going to feel peaceful, but the word itself, I think, feels very laden with expectation and attachment, and all these strings like, oh, you have to forgive, come with me to this side, right? And you know what? I don't know that everybody has to forgive. I don't know, I for sure know not everybody is ready to. So then what are you saying? Well, if you're not ready, you can't find peace. Well, that's not true. And that's an awful thing to say to somebody who's already feeling burdened with whatever the situation is. And so in this discussion I was having, we came up with another word, a word that seemed like a great alternative, a replacement to the expectations and connotations that the word forgiveness wants to settle in upon us. I'm going to tell you that word in a second, but if you have your head turned to look over that right shoulder, go ahead and release the head, softening the muscles in the back of the neck. And so the word we came up with was acknowledge. What if someone were to say to you, don't worry about forgiving, don't worry about it. Can you just acknowledge what you're feeling about the situation and let the feelings go? Doesn't that sound a whole lot easier than forgiving? Because no matter how many times you say to somebody, you don't have to forgive the act, it still feels so, it feels like you're taking someone down a path that implies that anyway. Does that make sense? So hang on to this thought. We're coming back to it. I want you to take a deep inhale. Big exhale. And then slowly push your way back up. You stay facing the way you are. I turned around so I could look at you. But remember, we want to come into that little subtle, supported, not really a back bend. We're resting back in a twist here on the bolster. And so just go ahead and lean back, make yourself comfortable. And so as we kind of, meander down this path carefully together, what I am going to ask you to do when we get to the next restorative pose, I don't want you to think of somebody you need to forgive or a situation you need to forgive. And it could even be you feel like you need to forgive. Let's set that part aside. I just want to know what feelings are attached to that person or situation or experience. Okay? We're going to give that a try in a second. All right. So gently go ahead and push your way back up. I want to set us up for the next pose before we start thinking too hard. And what we're going to need to do is take this one apart first. So we are using all the props, but they need to be set up a little differently. So I'm moving my bolster so I can get to my blanket. My blanket, I want to fold into a square because I want it to be about the height of my bolster. And this is going to go behind me. That's going to be for my head. Bring those blocks back down alongside you somewhere. And then will you grab your strap? If you don't have a strap, don't worry about it. We can do all this without it. Go ahead and put a loop in it. Okay. Give me a second to do that. And then I brought the bolster behind me, right up against the blanket. I kind of poofed my blanket. I really do want it to be at least the height of the bolster. Not too much over, but not too much under either. And then one block on either side of you. That loop you put in your strap is going right over your head. Do not allow the buckle to end up behind you. We need access to that. And then let's go ahead and scooch on back. Take the legs into Cobbler Barakumasana, soles of the feet together, a block under each knee. And then you've got this loop out in front of you. I'm just going to tuck the front end of this circle underneath my feet. And from there, I'm going to start tightening my strap. As you start to get it as tight as you want it, move the strap down underneath the hips. Don't let it slide up onto your low back. Make sure you're comfortable. Remember, your strap's going to get tighter when you lay back. And then let's slowly, take this slowly. Perfect. I want to kind of adjust my blanket a little. And then there's more. Take the arms overhead into ragdoll. So each hand is reached across to grab an elbow. I'm relaxing my arms down. So my arms are falling on the blanket. The blanket is supporting me here. If you don't feel the blanket, I need you to kind of readjust this because that's going to be pretty tough on the shoulders. And I want to add, if you have shoulder issues, this might be tough on the shoulders anyway, in which case I do not want you to do that with the arms. Bring them down and let the shoulders enjoy some peace, right? The arms overhead, that part's not essential to what we're doing. It's just a variation I threw in there for you. If you don't have a strap, doesn't matter. Your legs are still in cobbler. You have something underneath the knees, right? Okay. And what a great pose for a couple of deep breaths. Opening up the heart, opening up the throat chakra. You can really feel the breath here in the solar plexus. All right, so while you're here, I want you to think about not someone you have to forgive, not the situation you think you need to forgive. What are the feelings attached to it? Give you a moment to make a mental list. And what is the common thread between the words that you wrote down in your head? So, what I'm guessing, hold myself up here, what I'm guessing the common thread is that the words were all negative. I feel pretty confident in assuming that if there's a situation you think you need to forgive, probably isn't too much positivity attached to it, right? And so now we have this pile of words. Maybe you came up with 3, maybe you came up with 6, maybe the list went on and on and on. And let me throw some words out there. They might be on your list, they might not. But let's say the list has anger. It could have frustration, hurt, sadness, could venture into hatred. So whatever those words are, how would it feel to acknowledge them the way we did? We've written them down in our head, we've acknowledged them, and then find a way just to let the words go. To let go of the attachment to those words. Do you see how that is different than saying you need to forgive that person who created those feelings? You need to forgive or you will not find peace. Does that make sense to you where I'm headed with all this? So we're going to work on letting go of that list. And hopefully by the time you're out of Shavasana, you're going to be like, what list? All right, for those of you who still have your arms overhead in ragdoll, let's bring the arms down. And then I'm just going to grab onto the strap, both sides, pull, and then I'll be able to lift my head up, get my elbows pushing against the bolster, to come all the way back up. If that doesn't work for you, you might want to try to loosen or wiggle out of that strap first. So I'm going to remove the strap, but I want to keep the loop in it. I just want to make it bigger again. Perfect. And then just go ahead and straighten out the legs. Just sitting up in staff pose for a moment. If your blocks are still right next to you, you can place your hands on the blocks. Flex the feet, close your eyes, gently pushing the backs of the legs down. And then a strong inhale. Let go of the breath. Just relax, relax. Okay, we need to move that bolster out from behind us. We don't need the blocks right now. I'm not convinced I want the blanket there either. At least if you're gonna leave it, could you make it not quite as poofy as we had it? All right, get that loop really big. And then I'm gonna get this strap right up behind the shoulder blades, and I'm gonna go ahead and lay down. Now, if this doesn't work for you, there are different lengths to yoga straps, and so we might run into a little issue with that. And if we do, I'm going to give you a way around that. Also, make sure you have access to that loop so we can tighten our strap. So I've got this big circle. I'm laying on part of it. I'm going to get my right foot up into the strap, and here's where I'm going to tighten. So I'm using my body weight to hold my leg in place. Now, if your strap is too short, get out from inside the strap, right? And we can still lasso the foot and just hang on to the strap. We don't have to have it going around behind us. And so get comfortable. Close your eyes. You should feel like the strap is holding your foot and your leg in place. There shouldn't be work here. That's my intention for you at any rate. Make this all about the breath. Make sure we're on the same amount of time, both sides. And then you can take that right leg, now about 5-6 inches to the left. Of course, you can always grab onto the strap if that helps. And then bring that leg back to center. You can also, if you feel like you would enjoy a little bit more stretch, you could grab the strap and then pull on it so the leg comes in a little bit closer. Make sure if you do that, the left leg isn't popping up off the ground, so we want the back of the left leg to stay down. Give me one more breath here. Now I'm going to start to bend that right leg. I'm going to grab the strap and bring it off of the right foot. We're going to hug that right knee in. And then we'll let the legs change places. You might need to mess around with the strap a little bit. One leg might be a little tighter than the other. And then just remember, we're trying to keep the back of the right leg down. So those of you who have dogs joining you for your yoga practice, if you could get the dog to sit right up on top of that right thigh, that would help. And then we can take the leg and let it drop a few inches to the right. And then bring that leg back to center. And again, if you feel like you want to grab the strap and pull that leg in a little more, you can, or you can just tighten the strap. Deep inhale. Let it go. Grab onto that strap, start to bend the left knee, and then we're going to bring both knees into the heart. I'm going to let the top part of the strap rest on my shins, and I'm going to go ahead and tighten the strap right there. So the strap will be hugging the knees in for us. You can either interlace your hands up on top of the shins, or frankly, you can just let the arms release to the ground. The strap should be holding you here. And then you're going to have an option here as well. Take the arms straight out from the shoulders. We're going to drop the knees to the left. Now, hold on a second, because we have them in a bind, right? So you might feel like you need to loosen the strap, which is fine. Or I can't reach my blocks from here, but you could grab a block and put it to the left of you to catch the legs. So just slowly take the legs down. They're going to need to kind of maneuver through that strap a little bit so you can make the twist. The right shoulder does need to stay down on the ground, so that would be the case in which for sure you'd need to loosen your strap. Let's try to make our way back to center. I know it's a little weird because you can feel the strap, slipping against you to accommodate. And then we're taking the knees in the other direction. Left shoulder down. And then just bring the knees back to center. You can slip your legs out of that loop, and then we can go ahead and release the strap. Or you can come up first and just slip it over your head. We are going to make our way up here. But I'd prefer you turn into a fetal position first and just hang out for a couple of breaths before you push your way back up. When you're ready, come on up. I'm going to locate my blocks. Take the legs out into a V, flexing the feet for a moment, pushing the backs of the legs down. And just feel the length of the spine. You might just close your eyes right here. All right, what the blocks are doing in front of you, they are somehow going to connect with your third eye. And no, I don't mean like this. Your third eye is coming down to the blocks. So whatever you need to do to make that happen is totally to you. You could use your bolster. Well, actually, you could just turn both blocks at their highest height, hang on to them, and just let the head drop forward if you want. And then go ahead and relax the feet. A couple more breaths right there. When you're ready, slowly sit back up. One hand on each leg, not on the knee, above or below. And then As you kind of hinge forward a little bit, drop that left shoulder forward. Inhale back up. Exhale, right shoulder. So do that a couple more times. And when you've done an even number on both sides, go ahead and come back up. Set those blocks aside, drag the legs in, give them a squeeze. And then go ahead and set up your space for Shavasana. Do not, fall asleep on me yet. We have something to do with that list of words. So you go ahead and set up for Shavasana. I'm grabbing my warm socks because it's freezing down here. Perfect. All right. So making sure, of course, that every part of the body is happy and comfortable. Warm. Closing your eyes. Taking a slow, deep breath. Hold it. Let that breath go. Give me another deep inhale. Hold it. Let the breath go. One more time. So with your eyes closed, I want you to picture a blank piece of paper. And all those words that you came up with, I want you to drop them right on that piece of paper. So whether you just see them appear or if you want to rewrite each word, that's totally fine. Let's get them down. And how does it feel to write down all of those negative feelings that you're hanging on to, that are attached to some situation or some person that somebody else told you needed to forgive? Just look at those words you wrote down. And then I want you to fold that piece of paper in half. So the words are still there, we just can't see them, right? And then fold that paper again. And again. And again. So now we have this much smaller, folded up piece of paper with those negative feelings inside, right? And that piece of paper right now, it's up here in your mind. And so, I guess in a symbolic gesture kind of way, will you take one hand and reach up and just imagine that you're grabbing that piece of paper out of your headspace and you're holding it, okay? Now, take that hand back down to rest on the earth. Palm open, but feel the weight of that paper in your hand. Taking your focus to that piece of paper, feeling it get heavier and heavier. Feel the weight of all of those words. Feel the weight of all those words in your hand and know that that's the weight that you've been carrying that's attached to those feelings. We acknowledge that. We acknowledged those feelings and words when we wrote them down. We abolish, if you will, the word forgiveness. We let that word even go. And we just come back to feeling the weight that this piece of paper, you could say holds, you could say symbolizes, whatever resonates with you more. And how amazing would it feel to just not forgive, to let go of that piece of paper, to let go of the feelings that we wrote down on that piece of paper that we're holding, or that are holding us. Those feelings, those words, that negativity is kind of has you in a bind like the strap had our legs. And I want you to really feel how amazing it's going to be to not be attached to those words and feelings anymore. And so, how are we going to get rid of that piece of paper? Well, I leave that up to you. You might choose to get both hands free and rip that piece of paper up and scatter the pieces away from you. You might visualize lighting a candle and letting that piece of paper burn. If you're a gardener, maybe you want to picture digging a hole in the earth and then burying that piece of paper to never be seen again. So you can get creative, it's up to you. But before you head off into Shavasana, I want you to have released and gotten rid of that piece of paper. Let it go. And once it's gone, I want you to settle in with lightness and hope and peace. And here's the reason that I think we can get to peace a little easier with acknowledging and letting go versus the other word that we abolished. It's because you are making the choices. You're making the choices. You voiced the words. You acknowledged them. And you have chosen to get rid of those words and feelings to be empowered. Right? I'll see you on the other side of Shavasana. Take your focus to your breath and allow your breath to deepen as you invite movement back into the body. And then go ahead and stretch the arms way overhead. Lengthen out through the feet. Big inhale, hold the breath, hold the stretch. And when you're ready to exhale, release the arms, release the legs. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Cleansing exhale through the mouth. And then bring your hands to either a rest on your heart or in prayer pose. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.